WCUC LP Edmond.
Your station, 99.3.
Celebrating 125 years of excellence at UCO.
You play the best music.
You can't get it anywhere else.
UCO's best mix.
New Central Radio.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Matt Wallen Show here on 99.3 U Central Radio. I'm Matt Wallen, and with me is the real deal. His partner in crime is not with him today.
Half the real deal.
Half the real deal. The real deals are Brad, J. Rowe, and Ike Wilcox. Ike will not be with us all week, but Brad has guaranteed me that he can make up for Ike being gone.
I'll hold it down.
You'll hold it down?
I'll hold you down, Ike, if you're listening. We'll hold this thing down for you.
Ike's probably listening right now. Talk about your weekend, Brad. How was it?
It was pretty good. I ate those wings that I told you about.
Oh, okay. Tell everyone home about this. I think this is a pretty good little bet you had going on.
So me and my good friend Josh Simmons, we bet on the NFC Championship game. I felt like Arizona was very underrated going into the game, and I thought that people were just counting them out. So I was like, I'm going to take the Cardinals. I like them in a little bit of an upset. And as we all know, they got beat 49-15. So things did not go the way that they were supposed to for me, and I had to eat the hottest wings at Buffalo Wild Wings. And let me tell you, it ain't no joke, man.
It's no joke. What is the name of the wings?
So me and Josh had done this bet before, another football bet where he had lost, and he had to eat these. And back then they were just called the Blazing Wings, right?
Yeah.
But these were called the reformulated Blazing Wings.
So that means they have to be hotter.
So they were hotter. They were what he ate, which made him, cough, gag, all that stuff, but with ghost pepper sauce.
Ooh.
And just coated in it. And, there's a video of this that is on my social media.
I did see the video. Where it is from Megan, your girlfriend, 24 cups of water.
Pretty much. I'm probably not exaggerating that. I took one bite, and I thought, it was going to be a gradual thing. No, immediately just the hottest thing you can imagine. And when I first ate the first couple wings, I did not speak for 5 minutes. People were trying to laugh, make jokes, and talk to me, and I'm just like, I couldn't say anything. I was just contemplating life, just what am I doing right now? I'm in so much pain. It was excruciating. And then Josh tried one, and he said, that's easily worse than what you made me eat a couple years ago.
Well, Buffalo Wild Wings coming out with something better and better. But let's think about it this way. You got, what was I going to even say? This weekend is sometimes thought of as the worst weekend in sports.
Yes.
Because you have the layoff from the Super Bowl.
Yeah. There's all this hype about the Super Bowl, right? And that's what we want to talk about. It's like you said, we got a 2-week layoff, and it's
the worst weekend in sports.
It really is. It's kind of ridiculous. Plus, you're sad because you're just like, man, we got one more football game next weekend, and then we got a long what?
It really isn't that sad.
It is.
I sat there yesterday thinking about that. I was like, what are we going to do on Sundays after next week?
I know.
Because we're already done with college football.
Yeah.
I mean, the big thing is going to be Wednesday, National Signing Day. Be sure to tune in. We'll have Coach Bobek call in. He's going to talk all about the new signing class.
Yeah.
And also, since you won't be here, I'm having to find some new help. They won't be the real deal, but word is I might be able to talk Trey Wintry into coming in. Trey is one of our sports anchors here at UCO, does a great job. He'll hopefully be sitting in the real deal seat over there. Hopefully he can live up to it.
Hopefully, yeah.
Hopefully. But let's just go ahead and dive in to possibly the worst sporting event of all time, the Pro Bowl. Did you even watch it?
I am not ashamed to say that I did not watch it. I had better things to do. So
I'm right there with you. I was sitting at home with Shelby, and we were sitting there, and we decided to watch Netflix over it.
Oh yeah.
Okay, let me put it this way. I think I watched one play at the Pro Bowl, and in it I saw an interception, and he fumbled the ball.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
It's just very disappointing. Now, I understand why they do it. money.
Yeah.
But besides that, is there a reason to have the Pro Bowl?
Well, here's the thing, and I was thinking about this, yesterday. It's a cool thing for the players, to go down to Hawaii and just hang out and have a good time and just, play a nice, fun, laid-back game. It's also a great experience for the fans that can go, because then you get to see all the awesome players, right? Maybe get some autographs. You're in Hawaii. It's cool for those fans. But for everybody else, nobody cares. Fans like you and me who, can't or don't want to go to the game, or like, it's
not real football.
It's not real football, and it's not interesting. The only thing that for the players, obviously, it's a vacation. And then for the fans, it's an opportunity to maybe get some autographs and go to Hawaii. But other than that, there's really no reason for it. What I would like to see is more of the former stars play, like whatever happened to Terrell Owens or whoever. Like,
so you want a celebrity, basically?
Maybe
kind of
not
like
celebrity.
they do for the NBA.
Kind of, but but maybe just like the former players.
Okay.
Like, I mean, for instance, you might miss watching Randy Moss play.
Well, Randy Moss isn't in yet, but let me throw this out for you. Let's say, all Hall of Fame or flag football Pro Bowl.
That would be cool.
Would that be something that would interest you?
Let me do you one better.
Okay.
How about Hall of Fame players from teams going up against Hall of Fame players from other teams? But like, if there's not enough, like say the Browns have 3 Hall of Famers, combine them with like the Cowboys or something, like Browns and Cowboys Hall of Famers versus Eagles and Steelers Hall of Famers or something.
I think
like,
the Steelers have enough.
Yeah, like something like that.
Could
like,
be wrong, but
like, it'd be cool to see like the Hall of Famers go at it. Just kind of like, what if we could see, like just a fun game where like Terry Bradshaw and Roger Staubach go at it one more time. Like that would be pretty cool just to see, like, even if it's just a flag football game. Just spitballing here.
Just spitballing it out there. I think Roger Goodell could use some suggestions. Let's see. Looking at the stats for the game, let's see, who is that? Jerry Rice needs to do a better job of drafting a quarterback. His quarterbacks combined for 6 interceptions.
In a Pro Bowl where the defense is questionable, 6 interceptions.
To say the least. Lackadaisical.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson was the Pro Bowl MVP, 8 for 12. I mean, 164 yards, 3 touchdowns. Blah, blah, blah. Moving on, basically.
There's one guy I want to highlight real quick that I think we all need to give more credit to and we all need to recognize, and that's Allen Robinson. He's a guy who was...
He's on a bad team.
He's on a bad team in Jacksonville. That's not his fault. That's who drafted him. But this guy is a stud. I mean, he was on my fantasy team, so I got to give him props. He's one of my best players. But, I mean, he was an absolute stud. He wasn't even on the initial Pro Bowl roster. He was an injury replacement.
Okay, so I want you to think about this, too, though. Okay, I like how you mentioned that he's on a bad team. The news has started to come out that Calvin Johnson is going to retire.
Right.
Thoughts?
I don't mean to be harsh, but I know they're going to say it's because Calvin Johnson's had injury problems and stuff, but I just think the losing culture in Detroit can just crush your spirit.
Well, that's why Barry got tired of losing.
And just like with Barry, we didn't know the real reason until later. When he retired, he just said, "I just don't want to play anymore." But then later we found out, it's like, okay, I can't handle the losing in Detroit, and it's just a shame that 2 of these all-world talents that could have been, I mean, they'll be in the conversation still. I mean, Barry Sanders still might be the greatest of all time, but I mean, just imagine Barry Sanders in the 90s playing for Pittsburgh or Dallas or, I mean, even like a New England or Miami, or Calvin Johnson playing for a New England or with a Peyton Manning or, any good quarterback, any good team. I mean, Calvin Johnson, he could have shattered records. I mean, it's just, he could have won multiple Super Bowls.
It's hard to see, isn't it? It's tough to watch someone with so much talent just kind of wither away.
Well, yeah, and then you could just go on and on. And the thing about Calvin Johnson, he's still got it. But his heart's just not there anymore. You can see it. We saw, I think it was in the Thanksgiving game, he caught 3 touchdowns, and he looked like the old Megatron. But now, we don't see the same Megatron. I just don't think his heart's in it anymore because of the losing culture. Again, we're going to hear all this stuff about, his body's breaking down and this and that. But, I mean, the man had, 9 touchdowns and still over 1,300 yards this year? I mean, he could still play. those aren't great numbers by his standards, but I mean they're great for regular NFL standards. The guy can still play. I still think it's the losing culture.
But he's
in
set
Detroit.
for life. So why would you risk putting your body out there?
Well, I mean, and we saw it with, all those guys from the 49ers, like Patrick Willis. He retired. He was only in his early 30s. Maybe the CTE stuff, this concussion thing, is just affecting dudes' mindset, and they don't want to put their health on the line anymore. It's not worth it, like you said.
Not worth it. Yeah, especially when your children are set.
Exactly.
With the money made.
And you want to be, sorry, one more thing. And then, of course, you want to be there to be able to hang out with your kids and play with them and not, have health problems. Like, you want to be able to, run with your kids and play football with them. So that's what these guys are thinking of.
I get what you mean. Moving on to U.S. soccer. USA won 3-2. That do anything for you?
Not the biggest soccer guy. Who to beat? Iceland.
Yeah.
Iceland. Yeah. Is Iceland any good? I don't think they are. Right?
Yeah, this soccer team won. The American Outlaws can be happy.
Yeah.
We'll move on. America as a whole won't get excited until World Cup. Or if they, I'm not sure how it exactly works out. If they qualify
Yes.
for the Olympics.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that works.
We'll have to look into that.
Yeah, it's always a good day when America wins, but
USA.
Yeah.
Australian Open. No one from the USA won the men or the women's. You would have thought Serena Williams would have won, but she lost to Kerber in the championship. Someone told me this is probably a good thing for her, that she doesn't have to live with can she go perfect?
Right.
Can she win all the Grand Slams?
Yeah. It is one of those things where, we hear people say, oh, well, I don't think about it. I don't feel the pressure, but they're lying. I mean, most of the time, I mean, how could you not think about that, right? But I agree. I think that if you don't have that kind of pressure, you just can play looser and just be yourself and do what got you successful to that point.
Like you do on Wii Tennis.
Exactly.
Exactly.
You just can't let the pressure get to you.
Exactly. Well, someone who might be able to escape the pressure and actually make it all 4 Grand Slams in the victory column would be Djokovic. He won in straight sets over Andy Murray.
Oh yeah, he's a beast. I mean, that guy. I mean, he's just a machine.
He really is. Took out Roger Federer in the semifinals and then beat Murray in straight sets. Moving on to basketball this weekend, it was the Big 12 SEC Challenge, and we talked about this last week. Is the Big 12 now a basketball conference?
It really looks that way.
Not doing that great in football.
Well, I'll tell you what. I think we'll really see come tournament time because if I recall correctly, we were starting to say that last year, and then most of the teams in the Big 12 lost in the first or second round. So I think if the Big 12 has a deep tournament run, then we can start saying that. But until then, I mean, it certainly looks that way. I mean, Oklahoma's number 1. Buddy Hield, arguably the top player in the country, probably is.
Well, he had a very good performance Saturday. We'll talk about that in a second. But the Big 12 went 7-3. Kansas beat Kentucky in overtime. The depressing one probably was Iowa State losing to A&M 72-65. But A&M's ranked number 5 in the country. Not a bad basketball.
Not a horrible loss, but you would like to see him perform better than that. I agree.
The horrible loss would be West Virginia, ranked number 9 in the country, going to an unranked Florida and losing by 17.
Yeah.
Bob Huggins, come on, man.
If you lose on a last-second shot, you can say, okay, well, maybe make some excuses, but you lose by, 17? Yeah, that's a bad loss for sure.
So Big 12 goes on to take that, but the primetime matchup, I know College Game Day was in Lawrence for Kansas and Kentucky, KU, UK, 2-time winningest programs, a lot on the line. But it was Buddy Hield versus Ben Simmons.
Hield versus Simmons, yeah. It was a marquee matchup, just a really good game, 77-75. But you see Buddy Hield, he shot 50% from the floor, 11-22, 32 points, 8 of 15 from three-point range. That's incredible. 7 rebounds, only had the 1 assist, but man, when you light it up like that, you don't need to pass the ball. We don't want that guy passing the ball, But
here's the thing with Buddy. Buddy didn't really, I guess, he came alive when the team needed him. And that was something Brett Musburger and Dick Vitale had to call. They kept talking about how calm this Oklahoma team, and they get it from their coach. They also call Lon Kruger a beautiful man, which I had to think about it. He is a beautiful man, but I don't know if I would just throw that out there. How would you like if you were a basketball coach or any coach and you rewatch the tape? You probably don't watch it with the sound, but if you did by chance and you rewatch it and you hear Billy Bob over there is one beautiful man, and you're sitting there like start scratching your head like,
you're just like, thanks, I guess.
thanks, I'm married.
Yeah, yeah. I've always felt pretty good about myself, but now I feel great. Thank you.
Yeah. Simmons only had 14 points.
Yeah, I mean, he shot 6 of 7, but I mean, if you want to be a star player, you want to be a franchise player in the NBA, you got to take more than 7 shots, especially in a big game like this.
Do you think the problem is that LSU isn't rolling up plays for him?
Could be, yeah. You have to be. Again, though, if you want to be a star player, you have to be assertive. You have to almost. You don't have to go as far as Kobe Bryant does, but you almost have that mentality. Say, hey, like it's my time. Like I'm the star player. I got to take over. Some guys don't like that. Say, oh, he's got too big of an ego. Sometimes, I mean, you got to have that. I mean, you got to say, I'm the man. So now give me the basketball. 6 of 7. That's great for a role player, but you're supposed to be the star. You can't just be taking 7 shots.
I agree, and I'm going to go ahead and pull up what Ike said, because Ike texted me about this and said, just relay one message for me. Ben Simmons is a great player, but he needs an extra year at LSU, as do all freshman college basketball players, so that when the game is on the line, like it was Saturday, he is able to finish like an experienced Buddy Hield was able to do. Do you agree with that statement?
I agree with the first part. I don't always agree with the second part. He said Ben Simmons is a great player and he needs an extra year at LSU. I tend to agree with that just based on what we've seen, and hopefully he can carry LSU to bigger heights than what he has.
Well, right now LSU's not making the tournament.
Yeah, so maybe next year come back and get some experience like in big moments like in a tournament. But Ike also said all freshman college basketball players need to stay an extra year.
I agree with that.
You agree with that?
I do, because I've seen too many basketball players that had a decent freshman year, but they were highly recruited, and they're like, man, you could play right away, and they do nothing in the NBA.
Yeah, but the problem I have is maybe most players need that second year, but you look at Kyrie Irving, 1 year at Duke, and he was almost immediately a phenom in the NBA. I
wouldn't say he was immediately a phenom in the NBA.
I mean, he lit it up, man, sometimes.
Yeah, but okay, I agree to disagree right there.
But, I'm so sure there are others. How many years did Durant play at Texas? Just one, right?
Durant was just one.
Just one. So you got Durant. I mean, of course, they're not going to come in most of the time and just dominate, but, I mean, there are guys who come in the NBA and they're good right away. I mean, how many years was Towns at Kentucky? Right?
One.
Just one. So, I mean, there's guys who don't really need that extra year, especially if you're probably going to a bad team, right? If you're getting drafted in lottery. So you have time to learn on the fly in the NBA. You're not – most of the time you're not going into a situation like, okay, you're our star player and we're going to win the championship this year. Like with Durant, with the Sonics and Towns and the Wolves.
Let me throw out a name, though. Someone who went after their freshman season probably should have stayed. Xavier Henry. Went to Kansas from Putnam City.
I agree, yeah.
Did nothing in the NBA.
Yeah, well, sometimes I think that falls on the athletes. You got to be aware of what you're capable of. You got
another one, Daniel Orton.
Yeah, you got to be able to take a step back and say, no, I have a lot more I need to learn before I'm ready for this. Part of that is the athlete themselves, but they also have to have people around them that are willing to be honest with them, right? I think a lot of guys, people in general surround themselves with guys who tell them what they want to hear all the time. But you got to be willing to have those advisors that'll tell you, you're not ready for this, man. You got to work on this part of your game. You got to get more polished before you're ready to go to the NBA. So I think not all players have to stay that second year, but a lot of them do, and they have to be aware of that.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
Final question. You're a GM. You got the number 1 pick overall. Say you're with LA or Philly, because that's who I'm thinking is going to get that pick.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you take? Number 1 overall. Ben or Buddy?
Ben or Buddy? I haven't looked at a lot of NBA draft stuff, but from what I've seen, isn't Buddy projected to be like in the late 20s, mid-20s?
No, Buddy's moved all the way up to 4.
4? Wow, that's a big jump.
The latest one, yes.
That is a big jump. and Ben Simmons. How old is Ben?
Ben, I believe, is 18.
18. For me, gosh, that's tough. If it was me, I would take Ben, just because, especially if you're like who'd you say, the Sixers?
Mm-hmm.
With their
But don't
strategy.
you have enough big men? I mean, people think he could be a point guard. He's 19, excuse me, but people think he could be a point guard in the NBA at 6'10".
6'10".
He has that kind of handles.
I mean, that's a rare talent. I mean, it really is. And
Magic comes to mind.
yeah, the thing.
6'9", yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're 6'10", you can handle. I mean, you could play small forward. I mean, there's a lot of plays he could play. I know it's really lazy to compare him to LeBron James or Durant, but yeah, I mean, you have a player like that you could develop, and at the same time, you're not going to be good right away. You get another top 5 pick next year, and let those guys run on the fly. I would probably take Ben.
Okay.
As much as I love Buddy Hield, but for me, I'll take Ben.
I don't think he's ready, personally.
So you would take Buddy then?
Yes. Out
Okay.
of those two, and I'd have to look at the field a little bit more, but out of those two, I take Buddy because I don't think Ben's ready.
Yeah. But
show me something. You beat Kentucky. Congratulations.
yeah. But my point is, you don't really need to be ready if you're going to a team that bad.
No,
Right
I disagree with that. I think you do need to be ready.
Okay. Agree to disagree.
Okay. Agree to
Okay.
disagree.
All
We'll
right.
take a quick break. It's 12:24. You're listening to the Matt Wallen Show on 99.3 U Central Radio. And welcome back to the Matt Wallen Show. And for everyone listening, just a reminder, if you want to write into the show and we'll answer your questions on air, it is the Matt Wallen Show at gmail.com. Also, we have big news coming up later in the show. Something good is happening to the show. It's expanding.
It's exciting.
It's exciting. It really is. We can't wait to let you know. Also, follow us on Twitter at _MW_show. Also, we have a Facebook page. Go like it. Facebook page did pretty good this weekend. We started it. The show from last Wednesday's show, over 200 people it reached.
That's great. That's what we want.
Exactly. Over 150 actually clicked on the show to watch it.
That's great.
I'm so proud. I hope everyone's enjoying the show. Let's continue. Hopefully we can do a better show.
Yeah, we want to keep it interesting. Keep tuning in.
Keep tuning in. Exactly. You know what it's time for?
What's the time for?
What's going on? I don't have Ike to sing, though.
Okay, I'll try. Ready?
Okay.
What's going on?
Somewhere Ike is holding his ears, crying. But okay.
Oh, whatever, man.
I know. I liked it.
That was great.
What's going on? Cam rocking some very interesting pants to the Super Bowl. What are your thoughts on them?
Channeling is in a Russell Westbrook, right? I mean,
fashion, man. Those are some tight pants.
You got to take fashion risks if you want to stand out.
And I'm not talking like tight. They look good. Like, they are so tight on his body. Like,
oh yeah. I mean, that's like, gosh, like how do you breathe? Like those are those pants that like, as soon as you get home, you just take them off and switch into sweats, right? Like, oh, I can't, like, or some basketball
what
shorts.
normal
like,
people might do.
Yeah, like I'm just wearing these out to show off, and then I'm coming home and I'm getting into something more comfortable.
How many people you think made comments on the flight about it?
Oh man,
His teammates. I'm saying, how many people you thought?
Well, and I'm seeing his shoes too. This is a classic. What are those moment right here for the pants and the shoes? Do you see this picture?
Yeah, I see it.
What are those? Oh my gosh, man! I mean,
And then, okay,
I mean, he's Cam Newton. I mean, he can pull it off, but man, that's out there, man.
but
Yeah, you guys listen. You got to check this out. Check out. I guess you can just search
you
Cam
can
Newton
look for it,
pants.
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it'll be the first thing that pops up. But this is
you need to turn
pretty
around
hilarious.
and see what he's wearing with it, though, because he has kind of like a sweater on to go with these.
he looks very.
Go through the photos.
Okay, so he's wearing a leather jacket with a hood over a sweater with a collar, very very formal, businesslike, and then the pants are
This looks like
are
something
crazy.
Metallica would wear.
Yeah.
Some rock band from the 80s. People might not like how he dresses more than how he plays after this.
You know what this reminds me of is that scene from Talladega Nights where what's this? John C. Reilly's character says, "I want to come in wearing a tuxedo
yes.
T-shirt because I'm showing people I want to have a good time, but I also like to party," or something like that. That's exactly what this is.
I know what he's talking about, but what you're talking about that. Next on What's Trending, Roy Williams goes nearly full Bobby Knight on bench and almost throws. There's a vine out. We'll try to tweet it out later for anyone else to see, but picks up the chair, acts like he's about to throw it, and then puts it down.
Well, it reminds me, I don't know if you ever watched the show The Boondocks.
No.
Okay, is a show. Anyway, they have this episode where things get real when somebody throws a chair.
Yeah.
That's when you'll notice any crazy riot, somebody throws a chair, and then it gets even crazier. He realized that I guess he didn't want to take it to that level, so he left the chair alone. He probably saw that episode. That's probably why he did.
Yeah, that's probably it. Young Aggie fan abuses George Niang on the bench. That was from this weekend. You can see him. I guess Niang fouls out, and he's just sitting there because, when you foul out, if you're on the road, the visiting team will chant left, right, like your foot movement.
Right.
Get to the bench, and as you sit down, everyone yells, sit down. Well, Niang decides to stand up. And there's this little fan, he's probably about 8, 9 years old, I'm guessing, and he's just yelling at him, sit down. Funniest thing in the world. But does it get to a point like, enjoy the game, man. Calm down.
Yeah, I know.
There's no reason to yell at a basketball player, a college basketball player, that is twice your size.
Yeah, and it's not that serious. If he wants to stand up, stand up.
Okay? Look at this. Kids build a Cam, the dabbing snowman. Have we taken the dab to a new level too far?
Man, this whole thing it'll probably go away eventually, but I think it's kind of funny. But especially with a snowman, that's pretty.
It's not a bad picture. Like
that's actually really good
for a snowman.
Yeah, y'all got to check this out if you're listening. But this snowman is actually really intricate and detailed. They got this jersey on him and everything. That's good stuff.
Yeah, 2 kids in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania came up with that.
If you like the dab, you like Cam Newton, do your thing. That's totally fine.
Let's see. And then number 5, a high school baseball team in Dallas has a fight club in the batting cages.
That's interesting.
It really is.
So what's the story? Are they in legal trouble or?
Well, the head coach and the assistant coach are on paid leave, I guess, for the rest of the year.
Okay.
And that's for something else, if I read the article correctly. But every year when their head coach and their assistant coach would go to the coaches convention, that weekend or whatever, they would host a fight club in the cages. It'd be set up by the seniors, and because the seniors take care of it. Because what's the first rule about Fight Club, Brad?
Don't talk about it.
Yeah, don't talk about
the
Fight Club.
Second rule too, if I remember.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
Second rule is don't talk about Fight Club. Great movie though, by the way.
Yeah. I gotta say, Ike just texted me. He told me I gotta sing from my soul from now on. And he's got what's going on with the notes with it and everything.
when we end the show, you can try one more time. Or when we end this segment, I'll let you try.
I'm not really in a singing mood, but we'll see how I feel
it
at
for
the end,
Ike.
okay?
But anyway, if you think about it, I don't know how you can get the coach in trouble for this. They're out of town.
Right. Unless they're trying to say that they knew about it.
Knew about it, yes.
But I know with the school, obviously that's a huge liability issue. Some kids.
Oh, it is. Kids are coming because kids don't want to punk out. Is what
Right.
the article reads. It talks about how they want to be involved in this and that they don't. I can't remember the exact word. I want to say wuss out, but I don't think that was the exact word. They want to be a part of this, even if they're getting black eyes.
Yeah. Well, you gotta. Maybe you did this, but me and my friends, we used to box and stuff. But you got to come up with rules to where your health isn't in danger.
That's a true
You got to
statement.
make it all about love. You got to make it all about fun, man. You can't have all these losing teeth and black eyes and stuff. You gotta be careful. But
Don't want to look like a hockey player.
oh yeah, and that's definitely interesting though. But we'll see what happens with that situation. I
Well,
guess.
that has been what's going on, Brad. Can we hit the note?
Okay, hold up. What's going on? Better?
But
Maybe a little bit.
yeah, okay.
I haven't heard that song forever, so I don't even know if I'm hitting the right notes. But
Okay,
maybe
well,
for next time.
Moving on, we'll look at some people that can actually sing. I think a little later on. In the show
What do you mean by
coming up.
that? Actually sing.
Actually sing, like they have their own commercial.
I could have my own commercial if I wanted to. Come on.
Okay, if you we'll work on that.
All right, let's do it.
Management's telling me we don't have the funding for that though, so sorry. Moving on though to the Super Bowl. We were supposed to talk about the Super Bowl whole show, but now we're just getting to it.
That's
so
okay.
much in sports this weekend. But let's see if we can pull this up. Have you heard about this? Super Bowl babies.
No. Explain.
Well, okay, it's not going to let me play the video right now, but basically, this is going to be the commercial that the NFL puts out this year. You know, every year they put out a commercial about the NFL Network and what they're trying to accomplish. And this year's, it's called Super Bowl Babies. It will air after the third quarter, and basically, it's going off what they've been trying to do. The NFL's been trying to do, that football is family. And so there's a study out there that there is an increase in the number of babies born in the city that wins the Super Bowl.
Makes sense.
It does make sense. And so on this commercial, you have, I believe it starts out with the kids born in New York, whenever they won the Super Bowl. I want to say it's 2008. Yeah, the Giants.
It'd be 07 or 2012.
2000. But they would have been born in 08.
Okay.
Or would they? No, they would have been born in 07. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay, so they go on, they sing, and they go through all these other teams. It was a pretty cool commercial put together. I think the youngest they get to is the Seahawks. The Seahawks when they won.
Yeah.
Won, and the little kids are just crying. Not a bad commercial, but could you see that? An increase after winning Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think, especially if it's never happened there before.
You were talking about soccer.
Yeah, it reminded me, now you've reminded me, it reminds me of that soccer commercial they had. It's a pretty funny one where everybody at the hospital's going crazy, man. Why are all these babies being born? What happened 9 months ago? And then it was like some team won the World Cup, and then you see all the couples celebrating, and then, and then, and,
but the commercial even goes in and it shows the mom and dad kind of looking at each other and giving a little wink.
Oh, gosh.
They're like, okay. NFL.
So there's some humor in this one,
There is some humor.
Okay.
You still looking forward more to the Pokemon commercial?
Oh, man, I can't keep up with that, man. I mean, I'm too busy now. I mean, I don't really want to anymore, but I used to be all about that. But they're just coming out with too many new Pokemon, man. I can't keep up.
You wish you were still a kid.
I do. I'll be honest, I do. Simpler times.
Don't grow up.
Yeah.
Never a good idea.
It is not.
But since we mentioned the commercial and all that, let's go ahead and let's look at our poll question we asked last week. Which Super Bowl commercial are you most looking forward to? It is currently a three-way tie at 28% between Bud Light, Budweiser, and Pokemon. So some other people besides you, Brad, are actually looking forward to the Pokemon 20th year commercial.
Hey, it's not just the anniversary. We're getting one step closer to that Pokemon in real life, dude. Like,
don't
go somewhere and catch them like Wi-Fi.
Gotta catch them all.
Exactly. Like
Okay.
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah. No.
Also, Ike just texted me said I did better the second time. So
Well, thank you, Ike, for still listening to us at home or wherever he is. I think
wherever
he's at
Ike
work.
is,
Okay.
he's
well,
doing his thing.
It is 12:39. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll be back. You're listening to the Matt Wallen Show on 99.3 U Central Radio. Welcome back to the Matt Wallen Show on 99.3 U Central Radio. And we're back and continue to talk about the Super Bowl. Coming up, we'll talk about what our picks are going to be, our favorite moments from the Super Bowl. I know Brad's ready for that one. We'll also do a little Super Bowl trivia and also talk about the path. Well, each team's path to the Super Bowl. We're going to have to make that pretty quick. We only actually have about 15 minutes left. But Brad, start off with Cam Newton real quick. Is the problem with Cam Newton race? I know a lot of people don't want to bring this up.
Right.
But in your professional opinion, is that people's problem with Cam Newton?
Well, I mean, this is such a complicated and nuanced issue. I mean, we could talk about this for the whole hour of the show, right? But I'm like that we're talking about this on the show because, like you said, people aren't willing to have an open discussion about race.
They're afraid to talk about it,
Yeah.
especially the media is.
Yeah, but we're not afraid to talk about it, and that's what I like. So,
Well, yeah, we're a bunch of college students.
yeah, that's true. But, I mean, hey, these are things that need to be talked about, whether we're in college or whoever we are. But as far as my answer to that, excuse me, we have to be real honest. And as much as we would like to think that racism doesn't exist anymore, you know, what the media tries to tell us and everything, it's still out there. I mean, unfortunately, hopefully that ignorance will die out, and it has died out over the years. But there are still some people out there, unfortunately, with Cam Newton, it probably is about race, you know? But it's not the issue with all people. You know, maybe with some, it'd be interesting to see, okay, you don't like Cam Newton, who else do you not like? Maybe they just don't like, you know, showboating, you know, if they consider his dab and all that showboating. You know, maybe it isn't about race with a lot of people. But with some, unfortunately, I think it is. What's your take on this?
I unfortunately have to agree with you. I'm afraid that is the problem. And I hate to see that.
Right.
Because Cam Newton, I don't know Cam personally.
Well, none of us do, yeah.
Yes, but from what I've seen, because I don't think people remember, Cam was once Tebow's backup
Yeah.
at Florida.
Yeah.
And then if I'm correct, he got in trouble. I believe he stole
Something
someone's
about a
laptop.
laptop.
Yeah,
Yep.
if I recall right. Then he went and played JUCO ball, won a national championship, went to Auburn, won a national championship.
And then there's the issues with his dad possibly accepting improper benefits and all that stuff.
They never could prove it.
Right.
As someone, some Auburn fans like to point out to me. Because I like to bring that up, but, you know. But anyway.
Plus, that happens everywhere.
It does. If you don't think that happens at every college.
We got some oceanfront property to sell you, right?
Yeah. We do have some oceanfront property here in Edmond, Oklahoma. Yeah. But back to Cam. I think Cam is just being Cam. I think he is genuinely a good person.
I agree. I mean, you look at his character. I mean, this season he goes out of his way to give a football to somebody in the stands.
How he spent Thanksgiving.
Yeah. I mean, I think his character, I think he's a good person, and it's a great story to look at. Okay, maybe he did some questionable things in his past, but I mean, since he's been in the NFL, he's been a class act. You know, I mean, yeah, he celebrates and stuff, but the things he's done off the field, I mean, he hasn't gotten any kind of trouble. You know, I mean, we're talking about a guy who is on top of the world right now, right? I mean, he's young. What is he, like 24, 25 years old? He's
26, I believe.
26. Okay. So still really young, just an incredible talent. I mean, but you don't hear about him out at the club, doing all kinds of crazy stuff we've heard other guys doing, getting into fights. He is
26.
No domestic issues, anything like that. I mean, he's been a class act, and he's been a great role model, with the football thing, like you said, with Thanksgiving, all of his philanthropic stuff. I think that he's a person that you can actually look up to, not as somebody who's always been perfect, but somebody who's made mistakes and has learned from them and is now, a model citizen. Just a great guy.
He does. He might need a little help with the fashion sense.
Oh, yeah.
Really like what he's done and all that. And it will be interesting to see how this plays off in the Super Bowl. I wish we could ask him, in your mind, if you win the Super Bowl, will they take it away that it's because you're a good quarterback? Or are they going to say, bring up the race card in it? I would love to hear his thoughts at the end of the day after they win a Super Bowl, what it's going to be.
I agree. Yeah, that'd be an important discussion to have.
Well, moving on, hard to move on after that to something a little more, because sports are fun,
Yeah.
But it's such a serious subject.
One thing I just texted in is it's exactly like with LeBron James. People love to hate the best, and I think that's a great comparison because, like with LeBron, they can come across as a little arrogant, or maybe they showboat a little bit, or they think they have a high opinion of themselves. But with what they've accomplished and how talented they are, they kind of have a right to, But you look at what they've done, off the field, off the court, respectively. You can't really knock the guy.
I think the problem LeBron goes back to the decision.
Right, but people didn't like him before that.
And I understand.
With comparing him to Jordan and stuff. that kind of thing.
You only boo great men is what I believe Ty Cobb once said.
Fact.
Moving on to the path that the Carolina Panthers took, 15-1 on the season. They've had some
That's
close
incredible.
games, but they've really they've taken care of business.
What was the game that they lost? I was actually thinking about this the other day. Was it? I know it was the second Falcons game.
Yes, it was.
But what was the score?
It was at Atlanta, 20-13.
Man, isn't it crazy to think?
And it actually comes from Atlanta.
If they go on to win the Super Bowl, they're going to think, man, if we could have just scored a little.
I don't think they'll think that. I think they'll be happy.
They'll be happy. No, don't get me wrong, but I'm
Because
just saying.
Carolina has never won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I know, but at the same time, they're going to be overjoyed. But then they're going to be like, man, if we would have just taken care of business at Atlanta and scored a few more points, we could have gone 19-0. I mean, who would have thought that going into this season? Let alone them being in the Super Bowl. They could have gone 19-0. Of course, I'm a big believer in the butterfly effect. Maybe if they had won at Atlanta, they would have lost to, Green Bay, whoever. I mean, who knows?
The butterfly effect.
Yeah, like life's too uncertain to have regrets and think, okay, I could have done this or that. But
the team that Carolina does with it is impressive because you think about it, the receiving core they have, it's not one that jumps out at you at all.
Not at all. I mean, Kelvin Benjamin, when he went down, you're thinking, okay, the Panthers, they're going to have a hard time repeating as division champs. And here we are, number 1 seed in the NFC, 15-1. I mean, it just speaks to Cam Newton's talent. He gets the most. Ted Ginn did nothing the last few years, and here he is as one of the best deep threats in the league now because of what Cam Newton can do.
Denver Broncos on the season, 12-4, totally different path. The Panthers like to score a lot of points and kind of blow teams out. Denver just does whatever it takes to find a way to win.
They have
a ball
that
game.
grind it out kind of deal.
They really do. Peyton's towards the end of the career. Sunday, why would he come back? I'm saying it's the last game.
Whether he wins or loses?
It's the last game.
I would have to agree. Just all the stuff that he's gone through. I mean, 9 touchdowns to 17 interceptions. People say, oh, he wasn't healthy or whatever, but, I mean, this goes back to last season.
But do you really, to the people that say he's not healthy, do you think he's going to get better?
Yeah, exactly. What it really reminds me of is, I think I wrote about this on the Vista, with
quick plug for the Vista.
with Brett Favre. He has that year with the Vikings where they go 12-4, they make the NFC Championship, they lose, by a slim margin. Then he comes back the next year, and he can't stay healthy. His numbers go way, way down. I think it's the exact same situation. This is a guy who probably should have called it quits, but he's coming back because he has the determination to win another Super Bowl, and you got to admire that. But after this one, I mean, win or lose, you got to know. I mean, it's like with Kobe Bryant. You got to know when it's time to hang him up, and Father Time, like we always like to say, is undefeated. But one thing I want to talk about as far as the Broncos. Can we talk about how different this Super Bowl team is from their last Super Bowl team against Seattle?
Go right ahead. Defense is much better.
Completely flip-flops, right? I mean, you go from...
Wade Phillips.
Yeah, you go from former Cowboys head coach. You go from...
And look how well he did there.
Yeah, exactly. But you go from being this team that scores 50 points a game, but